This lesson is about how to solve problems. We all encounter problems, so problem solving here is very important. Now we're talking about specifically with math today, but this could perhaps work with non-math related things. And there's 3 steps to this process. Number 1, what do you know? What experience do you have, or what information do they know? Maybe they gave you some information. What do you want to know is step number 2. Want to know. And then how are those 2 things related? And I'll show you what I mean by this. So we know that the distance formula is distance equals rate times time. So if I know that I'm walking 3 feet per second, okay, that would be my rate. I'm walking 3 feet per second, and I'm going to walk for 10 seconds. How far do I go? What is the distance that I actually travel? Well, let's take a look at this. What do we know? That's step number 1. What do we know? Well, we know the rate. Rate equals 3 feet per second. And we know the time, how long I'm traveling at that rate. 10 seconds, right? And so that's all we know. Do we know the distance? No, we don't know that. That would be number 2. What do we want to know? We want to know what the distance is. So here's the hardest step always. How are those related? How are all of these items related? Well, guess what? I know a formula, here it is over here, that relates all of those. Meaning there's one recipe here. I like to think of formulas as recipes. One recipe that deals with all of those things, the things I know and the thing I don't know. So, D equals R times T. So now I can plug in the things I don't, or I know. So 3 for rate times 10 for the time. And I notice that my rate is in seconds and my time is in seconds. Those have to be in the same units, and mine are. So I can just do 3 times 10. So D equals 30. Well, D stands for distance, so 30 what? 30 feet. So we just went through the problem solving strategy. We found out what we know, what we wanted to know, and then how they were related, and then we were able to work through that problem. Now, did you know that the distance formula, D equals RT, it can actually be rearranged? So, you'll learn this later, but if I divide both sides of this by R, those R's cancel out, and I'm left with D over R equals T. Or let me rewrite that this way. T equals D divided by R. This is a formula now to find time. So, and similarly, we could divide both sides by T from the get-go here. Forget about that. And we could find that rate equals distance divided by time. So let's do a problem where we try to find the rate. How fast does Usain Bolt go? If he goes 100 meters, okay, 100 meters in 9.8 seconds. I can't remember if that was about what he did or not, but how fast does he go? So what is the rate? Well, what do we know? We know the distance, we know the time, and what do we want to know? Second step, what do we want to know? We want to know his rate, how fast he went. Third step, remember the hardest one here, step number 3. How are they related? The distance, the time, and the rate? Oh, up here, they're related with this formula. Okay? They're actually related with any one of these distance formulas, but we're going to use this one up here. So let's do that. Rate equals d divided by t. So in this case, distance was 100. T is 9.8, 100 meters, 9.8 seconds. And so his rate, if we divide top and bottom by 9.8, so that's the bottom divided by 9.8 and the top divided by 9.8. I'm just trying to get this to a unit rate. So I'm doing the same thing on the top as I am on the bottom. So we can get to, what's 9.8 divided by 9.8? 9.8 divided by, those look like a Q, doesn't it? 9.8 divided by 9.8, anything divided by itself equals 1. Okay, so I've got 1 here in the bottom. That's 9.8 divided by 9.8. 100 divided by 9.8 is about 10.2. So, on the top we had meters, on the bottom we had seconds, right? So 10.2 meters per second is over 1 second over here. So 10.2, 10.2 meters per second. And that looks horrible. Let me go back here and write that correctly. 10.2 meters per second. Now, if you're like me, I'm a little curious as to how fast that is in miles per hour. 10.2 meters per second. Let's see. So, I just found out that that is 28 point, let's see, what was it? 28.8 or 20, oh my goodness, 22.8 miles per hour. That's almost breaking the speed limit in a school zone, which is 25 miles per hour. So Usain Bolt is running at almost 23 miles per hour over that 100 meters. That's incredible. So, to end with, how to solve a problem. Start with what you know. Think about what you want to know. And then think about a formula that relates that information. How is that information related to each other? Related. So for example, do you want to know the area of a rectangle? Well, length times width, that's the formula that relates area and length and width of a rectangle. The formula that relates the length and width of a rectangle with perimeter looks like this. Right? The formula that relates the base and the height and the area of a triangle is base times height divided by 2. So if you know the area, let's say you know the area and you know the height, you could figure out the base, and so on and so forth. So that is how to solve problems, particularly in math. What do you know, what do you want to know, and how are they related? Have fun.